Hello and welcome. This is our special edition. And in this edition, we are going to discuss the upcoming 7th general election of Ethiopia. And today, we are here at Oromia State University. My guest today is Dr. Riyad Dawud, Vice President of the Oromia State University. And Dr. Riyad Dawud has studied several disciplines and fields of studies. He has BA in English language and MA in English language. And again, he has MA in public administration and social workers. He is a PhD holder in social works. And thank you very much, Doctor, and welcome to this program.
Thank you very much for inviting me to share my idea on the election and the upcoming Ethiopian election. First of all, we have to know that an election is the key of the public to appoint their government. In that situation, some countries might say it is an election, but just the political leaders come to the position by force, then they might say that's an election. In Ethiopia, the situation is different because we do have several political parties. The political situation also accepts the multi-party democracy. Therefore, it is the key of the public to elect their government through their votes in the real situation. Therefore, an election can be defined in our country, can be defined electing representatives. It's not a person that we elect, a representative through party, because we are following a multi-party system, representing the party for the government through people who are members of those parties.
Indirect democracy.
Indirect democracy. It's not directly electing, like in some countries, they elect their presidents or prime ministers directly, but in our case, it is a representative democracy. Therefore, through their representatives, they elect a political party through their representatives, then the government can be established.
As you know, our past has its own, strengths and limitations. And we are benefiting from the strengths, and we improve the shortcomings, we improve the shortcomings. And what can we learn from the past elections since the Constitution was introduced in 1995? This is the 7th election, the upcoming election is the 7th one for Ethiopia. And what lessons can we learn? Can Ethiopia learn from the past? And what mistakes can we improve?
What we have to know is election in developing countries, including Ethiopia, is a new scenario. It's not as old as other countries that elect their representatives as well as directly electing their government. In Ethiopia, this is the 7th one. The upcoming is the 7th one. The last 6 elections were proceeding. They shows progresses from the early beginning up to the 6th one. There were improvements. At the early beginning, even the public didn't know how to elect because during the Derg regime, there were no political parties except one party that the citizens come and vote only for a single party.
There were no alternatives.
No alternative. One party appears, then they give their votes for that party. They were just designing a formula that it is said to be an election in that time. But during the first election that we started to count, there were several political parties. The citizens had several options to elect based on their ideologies. Then the first, the second, and third, it comes through that. And actually, there were progresses through the practice. There were also some drawbacks, especially the political parties has to have their own ideologies to come to the citizen to be elected. Sometimes people are confused only I remember there were about 20 political parties in some time. 20 political parties might not work by different ideologies, because in this world, in developed countries, especially in developed countries, maximum of 4 political parties exist, because ideologies might not far away like this in one country. But in our case, yet there are several political parties, but it is diminished by this time, because they brought together their ideologies and they are coming to the major points. One drawback is some issues might not be brought for propaganda in an election. One thing is the national interest is a major thing that every political party never negotiate on that. Therefore, for election purpose, some political parties use it against. But that is a national interest. National interest should be a common issue for all political parties in election, regardless of their plan to develop the country. National interest is national interest. Nobody can negotiate on that. In the last 6 elections, sometimes there were issues that are raised not to be negotiated. That is a major drawback. The other thing is this multi-party system. Some political parties didn't understand what a multi-political party means. It's always depending on the opposition rather than competition. An election is just like bringing their programs to the citizen, and then the citizen should elect the program, not individuals, because this is representative democracy.
Depending on their demands.
Yeah, depending on the demand, especially the developmental programs that the political party should bring for election can determine who should be elected, not by opposing what is brought by another party. Most of the time, one political party may bring their program, then the other one starts opposing that. That doesn't bring impact on our country's development. Therefore, they have to depend on their own program rather than looking at the other party's program and opposing it. Therefore, the major drawbacks are this, but whatever it is, the last six elections are experience, as well as it is a success of Ethiopia to come into civilized kind of political situation in the country.
Regardless of the number of political parties, our political ideologies, Ethiopian political parties' ideology fall into 2 big, categories. And one is the unitary system, and the other is the federalism, the federal system. And how do you think these 2 things coexist without, blaming each other, but learning from each other, respecting each other, and based on only rule and regulations?
Thank you very much. The existence of both unitary and federalists is not a problem by itself. The problem is when they brought these issues as a conflict. The ideologies are not conflicting, but people make them a conflicting ideologies. In the country like Ethiopia, which is a multi-ethnic, multicultural country, we have to tolerate what the citizen likes, because they do have multiple culture, they do have multiple language. We have to respect, because the vote of the public determines who should be elected. Sure. Therefore, we have to respect the demand of the society, whether the society wants to become unitary system or wants to become federalist. It depends on the interest of the citizen. In most cases, people brought a unitary is a must and the only way to govern this country. But it doesn't work. Because I hope for about more than 100 years, there were unitary system, and there were also other citizens who are struggling to tackle it, against it, to tackle and to change it. Sure. Those all times were devoted in order to correct it. Therefore, the unitary system should not force the citizen to become unitary, because citizens wants to see their culture in the government, because they want to see their picture in the government, their language in the government, their way of life in the government. But in the unitary system, it might be difficult. When we come to the federalist also should not say the unitary is the most dangerous. Rather, they have to explain it how a federalism system is very important for the country. Because those issues that were raised against federalism by the unitary system can be an agitating issues to promote or to say things about federalism. For example, a multicultural can be treated in the government in federalism, multi-ethnicity, multi-language, multiculture, multi-religion, identity can be included in federalism. They have to advocate federalism through these qualities, not by opposing the unitary system. They should not oppose each other. Rather, they have to promote the importance of their ideologies independently. Their existence is not the problem, but the way the political parties are promoting based on the opposition of the others can bring the public to the conflict, and then that conflict might be a problem for establishing a civilized government. Because in developed countries, especially in the European and other, there are those the leftist and the right, which do have opposing ideologies, but they didn't say anything about against the other one. Sure. Rather, they never negotiate on their national interest, but they do have programs which are based on their ideology to be promoted for the election. Therefore, it's not a problem to coexist, but the way we promote can create a conflict. Therefore, we have to take care of that.
I think this culture is becoming improved. Yeah. Thank you. And the other one is still, the public participation and trust is very important, especially in connection with the election. And people have to trust what to elect and how to elect, and even the elected government after all. And this is, in this regard, I think there is improvement after, especially we can compare the sixth election and elections before it. Yeah. And even when I say participation, for instance, the opposition political parties or the contesting political parties are now in the House of People Representatives without winning the election. Yeah. And this is a kind of inclusivity among the ruling political party. And what do you say about such a culture, developing, tolerance, tolerating each other, regardless of their lost election? They lost in election, but they are representing their own people in the parliament. And what do you say such understanding?
Yeah, this is what we mean by civilization. Because those people who lost the vote of the citizen is not to mean that their program is not important program. Some of the issues might be important for the government.
And even the Prime Minister has been calling for coming together, like the Madamar or synergy that works in the government has to be working in the opposition political party. They have to come together and be solid and compete with us. The Prime Minister several times has raised this issue. And the other one is, you have said, the civilization, political civilization. Yeah. And political incivility can cost us many, as you know. Yeah. It can cost us in terms of instability, conflict, and displacement, and so on and so forth. And what do you say about strengthening this political civilization?
Yeah, I remember in Ethiopian calendar the election in 1997.
1997, our calendar,
yeah, Ethiopian calendar. I was in the capital at that time, and I was very shocked because several violences were happened in the capital. The reason was the election was conducted, but before it is disclosed by the Board of Election, the opposition political party discloses the wrong information for the society. Then a very bad conflict was happened at that time, and the violences happened. I remembered the city bus was burned, people were arrested, several people were arrested. The reason that happened was the wrong information that were disclosed before its time. Timing is the best thing in political civilization. First of all, conducting an election on its time is the first, then disclosing periodic election, and the result should be disclosed by the authorized electoral board, National Electoral Board, on its time, not before. On its time should be disclosed, rather than suggesting the wrong information for the society. One of the political civilization is that. The other is the way they advocate their programs was one of the problem.
Before the election?
Yeah. At that time in Addis, the program that was advocated by, I hope, a party which is said to be connected at that time, said about the capital cities development was highly deviated from the reality. Therefore, people expected that what they said, what the political representatives said, are real. Therefore, when the conflict happened, some people were against them, the others were with them. the conflict was happened among the public.
Because of the misinformation.
Misinformation. Therefore, the other political civilization is not involving the citizen into the conflict should be the other thing that we have to take care of in political civilization. The other thing is participating the other political parties rather than the elected one into the government offices. Actually, it's not in political affairs, but it is on the government operational activities. That means the political parties who missed a vote might not participate in the parliament.
They don't have legal right,
Yeah.
but the government can compromise it.
Yeah, but they don't have vote to decide in the parliament, but they can work with the government for the development of the country. They might participate in the parliament to listen at what is decided, not to vote on that. The vote is for the winning political party. Therefore, this is another political civilization which should be strengthened, because those citizens who are participating in the opposition political parties are citizens also. They do have ideas. Those ideas may help the government to work on it, because I hope political parties do have researches in public. Therefore, the result of those research might help the government to improve the life of citizens. Therefore, it is brilliant to use the idea of the opposition political parties by involving them in government offices. Therefore, the government, the winning political party have no right to participate them in the parliament, because the citizen has decided not to make them to participate. But the government can participate them in government offices to perform activities together and to use their ideas also in the government. This is a civilization.
Right. And the other one is, I think, the debate among the political parties has to be based on rule and regulations, and again, policy-based debate. And we usually, as you remember, our political parties, based on the past history. The past history, I don't mean that the past history is bad, but at least what the public needs from the political parties, whether it is the opposition political parties or the ruling political parties. So how should our political parties move from blaming each other and relying on the past, move from that and deviated from the past and come to the policy-based debate, policies that benefit the citizens, the general public?
Thank you. The problem is most of the political parties are originated from the past struggles. The struggles were not peacefully. Most of their background is warriors against the earlier governments. At that time, mentioning the past history helped them to come to this kind of political situation. But at this time, in 21st century, crying about the past doesn't work now. They have to bring policies, strategies, and programs that can help the citizen for the better life. On the debate also, they have to depend on their policies, strategies, and programs, not listening at the other political parties and working against them. This is the poorest political activity, Because unless you have a program, unless you have, for example, let I take the Prosperity Party. From the beginning, the book Madamar can be taken as a policy for a party. Then other books like Madamar Tulid, Madamar Mangad, others are the strategies specifically designed for every activities. Then from these strategies, on its application, the Prosperity Party can design programs. They should not sorting out the drawbacks of the existing government, the existing governing political parties, and then it's not important to talk about that, rather to talk about what strategies and what policies and programs they do have for the public and for the overall the country's development.
Let me add this follow-up questions. And you have said the parties, some parties, emerged from struggle. Some political parties emerged from, struggle. Why do you think these parties are still remain in the same name in 21st century?